Good morning everyone. I am your social teacher and today we are going to study our lesson number 13 of geography. It is about the processes changing the face of the earth. Seeing the vastness of this chapter, I have divided the chapter into two parts. That means in the part 1 we shall discuss about half of the chapter, and in part 2 in your next video I will be giving you the rest of the chapter. And in this chapter we are going to discuss about how the face of the earth means the surface of the earth, how different changes are brought on the surface of the earth. That is the main subject topic that we are going to study in this chapter. Various processes go on changing the surface of the earth. Some are internal processes like earthquake, you can see in the picture, and some are external processes like weathering. In this chapter, we shall deal with the external processes only. Before we go to the external processes, you should know what is the meaning of internal process and what is the meaning of external processes. As you know, if we will consider this is our earth, we are living outside the earth and not inside the earth. The activities which are going inside the earth, they are known as the internal activities, like that of the earthquake, or you can say the volcanic eruption, and the processes which are going on outside the earth's surface and bringing different changes, they are known as the external processes. Now, as I told you, in this chapter we shall be mainly dealing with the external processes. Let's see what is external processes. Natural processes which take place gradually on the surface of the earth are called external processes. As I already told you, internal processes, they take place inside the earth's surface, but external processes are the processes which generally take place on the surface of the earth. We can say external processes can be classified into three types. One is weathering, you can see in the picture. Second one is erosion. I have shown you the picture here of erosion. And the third one is mass movement. This also you can see in the picture. So these are the three main external processes because of whom the surface of the earth is getting different types of changes. Now, one by one we shall discuss about weathering, what is the meaning of it, what are the different factors responsible for it, about erosion as well as about mass movement. First of all, what is weathering? What is the definition of it? It is the process by which the rocks exposed on the surface get broken into smaller pieces. In very simple sense, we can say weathering means breaking up of rocks. For example, if you will take one piece of chalk and you keep it anywhere, after few days the chalk will be getting broken into pieces, or you can see after few days the chalk piece will not be there. Instead of the chalk piece you can find the dust of the chalk. That means the chalk is broken because of different factors. This breaking up of the rocks is known as weathering. What are the factors influencing the weathering processes? We can say the rocks simply cannot get broken into pieces. Different factors are working behind it. The first factor is given change in temperature and pressure. Temperature means you know how hot or cold a particular body is, and pressure means here it is the meaning of atmospheric pressure. You know the different layers of the atmosphere, it is creating pressure on the earth's surface, and that is known as pressure. The continuous heating and cooling of rocks makes them break. You know, during daytime the temperature is high, and during night time the temperature goes down, and because of this increasing and decreasing of temperature, the outer layer of the rocks, it becomes soft and it gets broken into pieces. So we can say that the first factor for influencing weathering process is temperature and pressure. Second one is water vapor. You know that water or water vapor, it is present in the atmosphere. Water collects in the cracks and pores of rocks. Sometimes it happens, if any rock is there, suppose this is the shape of the rocks, when it rains, the rainwater, it will collect at this particular place, and when this water will be collected and the temperature falls, it freezes and expands. Because of the freezing of temperature, this water which has been collected here in the pore of the rocks, it will be frozen and it will be expanded. And when it will be expanded, automatically this portion of the rocks, it will be weakened and it will be broken into pieces. So you can say water is the second factor responsible for weathering process. The third one is the air. The air loaded with sand rub the sides of rocks and consequently breaks the rocks, especially the air. It works in the desert areas. You know, desert areas plants are very less. At that time what happens, suppose this is the rock. When the air loaded with sand, it will strike frequently on the outer layer of the rock, automatically this portion of the rock, it will be weakened and it will be broken into pieces. That's also a factor of weathering. The last one is here about animals and human activities. It is written here, see, animals and humans also break rocks into pieces by their activities. You know, some animals, when they walk or when they run, by their hooves, they break the rocks. No doubt it may take long time. I'm telling you, all these processes, it does not take place very soon. It takes quite a long time for this process of weathering. So animals are also responsible in some ways for the weathering processes. Then comes the humans. You know, human beings, for our mechanical activities, for making our houses, for different other constructional activities, we break the rocks. So we can say we are also responsible for the process of weathering. As we already got about weathering and the different factors which are responsible for the process of weathering, now we are going to proceed towards the different types of weathering. Weathering, it can be classified into mainly three types. One is physical weathering, another one is chemical weathering, and the third one is biological weathering. I have tried to show you the picture of all these three types of weathering, and let me explain you what is the meaning of this all. First of all, physical weathering. When the rocks get broken without any change in their chemical composition. Sometimes the rocks get broken, but their chemical composition does not change. That type of weathering is known as physical weathering. Question may arise, what is the meaning of chemical composition? You know that rocks, they are made up of different types of chemicals. When the rocks get broken into pieces without any change in the chemical composition, that is known as physical weathering. As you can see in the picture. And if we will take example, due to change in temperature, the outer layer of the rocks get expanded and contracted. Thus the rocks get broken. It is physical weathering. Just before some time I told you that because of change in temperature, the outer layer of the rocks, they generally expand and they contract. And when this process of expansion and contraction continues for a long time, automatically the rocks get broken. That type of weathering is known as the physical weathering. The second one is chemical weathering. When, as a chemical reaction of water or air, certain portions of rocks are dissolved, it is known as chemical weathering. You know, some materials are there or some minerals are there which are soluble in water, or which can be dissolved in water. So sometimes it happens that some soluble minerals, like we can say limestone or sandstone, they get dissolved into water and removed from their original place. Like this is one rock. Suppose this much portion of the rock is limestone. Automatically, as limestone is soluble in water, when rain falls or water comes in contact with limestone, this portion of the rock, it get dissolved and it comes out from its original place. That is known as chemical weathering, because you see, when the original rock was there, its chemical composition was different, but now as this portion of the rock has been removed, now the chemical composition of this part of the rock is again different. So you can see here there is some chemical changes in this type of weathering. So this is known as chemical weathering. The third one is about biological weathering. What is the meaning of biological weathering? It is mainly done by plants, animals, and even humans. As I already told you before sometimes, that animals and human beings, even plants, they are also responsible for the process of weathering. So we can say the weathering process that is mainly done by the activities of the plants, animals and even human beings is known as biological weathering. You can easily see or clearly see from the picture given here that sometimes plants they grow in rocks, and when these plants they grow in the rocks, their roots cause cracks and break the rocks. It is visible from the picture. You can see here that the roots of the plant it's getting inside the rock, and when these roots will be gone inside the rocks will be broken into pieces. That's biological weathering. Sometimes animals like rats and rabbits, they are the burrowing animals, they also contribute to the process of biological weathering. And even human beings, the humans also contribute to this through their mechanical actions. I already told you just before some time that human beings, because of their constructional activities or because of their mechanical activities, we are also responsible for the process of biological weathering. So these are the three types of weathering. One is physical, without any chemical change, chemical weathering where there will be some chemical changes, and biological weathering where it is done mainly by the living beings. Now I am going to explain you the second type of the external activity, which is known as erosion. Before going to this, let me tell you one very simple example. If we will take one piece of chalk, suppose you just imagine this is a piece of chalk. If we will keep it here for 2 or 3 days, after 3 or 4 days or 2-3 days, when we will come back, we will not get the full piece of chalk. What we shall get? Dust of chalk. Again, if we will come after 7 or 8 days, this dust also will not be there. From here we can understand two things. One is weathering and second one is erosion. Weathering is the breaking up of this piece of chalk. That is the simple meaning of weathering. And erosion means after 7 or 8 days when we shall come, we shall not get the dust. This dust will be carried away from this place to some other place. This carrying away of the weathered particles is generally known as erosion. You can see it is written here. Even from the picture you can see. The act of carrying away the weathered particles from one place to the other is called erosion. Weathered particles means the broken pieces of rocks. Due to the process of weathering, the rocks will be broken into pieces, and these broken pieces or the weathered particles, they will be carried away from one place to the other place, and this process is generally referred as erosion. It can be done by different things like rivers, rainwater, winds, etc. carry away the weathered particles from one place to the other. When the river water flows, it carries away different things from one place to the other. That means rivers, they are a factor of erosion. Rainwater, when it rains, the rainwater it also carries away the weather particles from place to another place. Winds, they also carry the weather particles. So mainly these three are the different factors which are responsible for erosion. The rate of erosion means the rate of erosion, the process, it is not same everywhere. It depends upon many factors like rainfall of a place, temperature, slope of the land, type of soil. Let me tell you how it is. First one is given rainfall. You know, if rainfall is more, the rate of erosion will be more. If rainfall is less, rate of erosion also will be less. Then comes temperature. Temperature, it indirectly affects erosion. How it is? If the change in temperature is rapid, then weathering will be more, and if weathering will be more, automatically erosion also will be more. Then comes slope of land. You know, all the lands, they are not same. Some are there, they are very steep like this, and some are there, they are plain areas. We can say in this type of land erosion will be more because water or air, they can easily carry away the weather particles from the upper part towards the lower part. But if we will consider about a plain area, here it will be a bit difficult for the air or water to carry the weather particles from one place to the other. So we can say slope of land also determines the rate of erosion. Next one I have taken here, type of soil. You know, different types of soils are there. We are going to discuss in the second part of this chapter. Soil. I am just taking two examples. One is clayey soil, another one is sandy soil. You know, clay soil, they can hold the soil tightly, means erosion will be less. But sandy soil, as the amount of water is very less in the sandy soil, they can be easily carried away by the water or the air. So I hope it is clear about erosion. Erosion means the process through which the weathered particles are taken away from one place to the other place. Now we shall study about the third or the last type of external processes, that is mass movement. In simple sense, mass movement means we can say the movement of the soil or the movement of land. How land moves? See, these are caused by gravity, which pulls all materials downwards. I hope everybody knows what is meaning of gravity. Gravitational force, which was discovered by Sir Isaac Newton, and according to gravitational force we know that the earth's surface, it attracts everything towards it. So sometimes it happens, especially in the mountainous regions, that because of this gravitational force, the rock materials or the soil, they comes down from the upper part of the lower, from the upper part towards the lower part of the mountainous areas. That movement is generally known as mass movement. It is written, these are quite common in mountainous regions. For example, we can say, I have taken here two examples of mass movement. One I have taken about landslide. Everybody is quite popular about landslide. It is a very common word here because we are living in the mountainous areas, and I hope you have seen many a times while going from here to Lakhimpur or from here to Itanagar, roads are getting blocked because of landslide. You can see in the picture, landslide means dry soil and rock pieces move down a steep slope. When dry soil along with rock pieces, they will come down that steep slope of the mountains, that is known as landslide. You can see in the picture. The second example that I have taken here is about earth flow. Do not be confused. Landslide and earth flow, they are not the same. Earth flow means rock materials like clay and silt along with water move down a gentle slope. Here water is there. Water along with clay, silt or the other materials, they come down the slopes of the mountain, and they are known as the earth flow. It is also shown here, you can see. One more thing you need to understand, landslide, it comes down the steep slope, but earth flow, they comes down the gentle slope. That means landslide, you can see it is steep, but earth flow, it will be gentle slope, like that slopes. You can see slowly it will come down. That is known as earth flow. Well, now we shall study about another agent or another process which also brings about changes on the earth's surface, that is denudation. What is the meaning of denudation? Denudation, it literally means making nude or bare. That means, what is the meaning of making nude or bare? When some portions of the earth's surface will be removed, that is known as denudation. And different agents or different factors are there of denudation. I have taken here four factors. One is river, second one rainwater, third one waves, and the fourth one I have taken about winds. Rivers, how they work it? On the course of rivers, they have got three courses of their journey. I'll be explaining you sometimes later. So on this course of rivers, they transport huge quantities of broken rocks to the lowland. In simple sense, we can say the rivers, they have got three stages. When the rivers, they start their journey from the mountainous, the rivers, they carry the broken rocks, they carry soil, and they deposit all these things from the mountainous region to in the plain regions. So rivers, they also work as an agent of the denudation. The second one is rainwater. I hope everybody you have seen, while it rains, the rainwater, it carries different types of things with it. So rainwater also helps in the process of denudation. When it rains, the rainwater carry different sediments from one place to the other. On the earth's surface, different materials, they get deposited, and when the rain falls, that this rainwater, it carry this deposited material from one place to the other, and it helps in denudation. Waves are there in the oceans. They deposit different materials along the shore when they recede. About waves, we are going to study in detail in the next chapter. It is given about details about the waves. Still, I'll just give you one little information. If you have seen the waves practically or in TV, you have seen when the waves they hit the shore and when they go back, they deposit different types of materials brought from the oceans. So that's also one agent of denudation. Last one about winds. Wind action is most significant in desert areas. In the desert areas, winds can remove dry particles very easily, because in the desert areas plants are very less, and in desert areas we can find mainly sandy soil which can be easily carried away by the winds. About that also details is given in the next lesson. Now it is given role of man in changing the land surface. We, the human beings, we are also responsible for changing the land surface. How we are responsible? I have taken here 3 points. Just try to understand. By cutting the trees indiscriminately, he turns land into wasteland. We cut down the trees for different purposes, for burning purposes, for agricultural purposes, for making our houses, for making dams, and for many other mechanical activities. We cut down the trees, and when we go on cutting down the trees, automatically the green land it becomes wasteland. So we can say we are responsible for the degradation of land. Second one, the dirty and poisonous effluents of the factories degrade lands. The different factories, no doubt factories are very much beneficial for us. We get different things from the factories, but the different chemicals which are the outcome of the factories or the waste of the factories, they are very much dirty and they are very much poisonous. And when these dirty and poisonous effluents of the factories are thrown on the lands get polluted. That's why humans are also responsible. Third one, the dumping of city wastes on any land completely leads to its degradation. City wastes. Every day we are creating so many types of waste, and these wastes if we'll throw in any land, that particular land will be degraded. So we can say the human beings, by our inhuman activities, we are responsible to a great extent for the degradation of land. Now we are going to study the last part of today's class, the course or journey of river. As I told you, the rivers, they have got 3 stages of their journey. The first stage, it is known as the upper course. It is also known as the mountainous stage. The second one is known as the middle course, or it's also known as the plain stage. And the third one is known as the lower course, which is also known as the delta stage. Let's see how the river, they start the journey and they complete it. You can see in this picture, everybody knows, I think, all the rivers, they start their journey from the mountains. These mountains, they are covered with snow or ice, and they are the home of all the rivers. From here, the river, they start their journey, and this part of the journey is known as the upper stage or the mountain stage. From here, the river, they flow downwards and they reach the plain area. Up to the plain area, their mountainous course remain, and when they reach the plains, their middle course or the plain stage started. From here, it will be continued up to the plain areas before the rivers, they merge into the ocean. And the third stage is when finally the rivers, they will meet the ocean. Now, during this journey of the rivers, the work of the river are 3. One is transportation. Sorry, not 3, 2. Transportation and deposition. What it means, when the river, they will start their journey from the mountainous region, they will carry different types of things with them. That's the meaning of transportation. And as you know, here the slope of the land is very steep. The speed of the river water will be very high, and this stage, the mountainous stage, cannot be used by human beings for the means of transportation or navigation. Here the speed of the river is maximum and the transportation process is maximum at the mountainous stage. As soon as the river reaches its middle course, that is the plain course or the middle stage, here the speed of the water will be much slower as compared to the mountainous region. So at this stage the river's water can be used for the means of transportation. Here we can use this as a means of transportation because here the speed of the river is not so much high, and here the transportation process also continues. Along with transportation, here another process starts, that is deposition. That means whatever materials they brought from the mountainous region, they will start to deposit all these things at the middle stage. After completing the middle stage, when they will come to join the ocean, at that time the transportation process will be the least and the deposition process will be the highest, because here the speed of the water will be the lowest. And before they march to the ocean, the river, you can see here one single river, I have taken the example of only one river here. It is distributed into two parts before it falls into the ocean, and here one type of landform is created, you can see, in the form of a triangle. And this form of triangle, it's one symbol in science which is known as delta, and that's why this type of landform, it is given the name of delta, or this course of the river is also known as the delta course. So these are the three different stages of river. This delta, as I told you, it is formed when the river finally merges into the ocean. One of the most important delta in the world is the Sundarban Delta. I hope everybody you heard the name Sundarban Delta. It is the largest delta in the world, and it has been formed by two rivers, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra. So this is all about today's class. After going through the video, you need to complete the homework, which one is given here. This is your homework for today. You have to complete it and you have to send it in time, and also you need to read the chapter. If any doubt is there, definitely you can get it cleared from me. Thank you very much.